decision on the last movie that talking about District 13 in the abstract would never be as interesting as seeing it up front. And, you know, we save really the explanations for what 13 is for this movie.
We were always told there was nothing left of 13.
Capital bomb has surfaced to rubble. But we're military, so we learn to survive down here.
Katniss has ended up in 13, and it's a district that she didn't know existed. But what we find out is that 13 was a district that was bombed 75 years earlier in the Dark Days, the war that actually started the Hunger Games, the reason for the Hunger Games. And the survivors moved underground into old graphite mines and nuclear silos and nuclear facilities and created the civilization.
The initial idea is that since they've gone underground a number of decades ago, everything they had at the time is sort of what their society consists of. Reusing, recycling, adding on to. I hope you'll notice that a lot of the technology that we have in there is, some of it's based on 1940s, 1960s, but then sort of added on in a way that makes sense. The overall structure, we wanted to have it be very communal. It needed to be oppressive only in the sense that Katniss wants to be outdoors, and that's her church, is the woods.
We pick up in District 13. We find Gale and Katniss in this base, and it's right after District 12's been bombed. Katniss has been saved from the arena, and they're both kind of adjusting to this weird life underground and the different kinds of things that are happening down there.
So she has to get used to this new life in District 13 that is very unfamiliar to her. It's very regimented. It's all underground. So she can't go outside, she can't hunt.
I got good news.
What?
Coin agreed to let us hunt above ground.
It's almost like everybody did have some sort of freedom, and now they're put into this underground bunker, and they're alive and they're safe, but they've lost any freedom that they've had before.
They have strict rules. I don't know what they'll do if they find him here.
Katniss has to get used to the idea that 13 exists at all. And there's a new president, Julianne Moore.
What an honor it is to meet you.
Katniss, President Don McCoy.
I hope you'll find some comfort with us.
All my friends were like, oh, you're gonna be in the Hunger Games, you're gonna have great clothes and all those colors. And I'm like, no, I'm underground.
Julianne approached us because she was really interested in the stories and really interested in Coin. And she's just such a fantastic actress. I mean, she could do anything. And so I just jumped at the chance to work with her and for her to play Coin.
You don't see too much of Coin in the books because it's all through Katniss's point of view, and they have a sort of prickly relationship.
The relationship that Katniss has with President Coin is very complicated because Katniss knows that she should trust President Coin, but for whatever reason she doesn't. And President Coin can see how important Katniss is to leading this rebellion, but she doesn't know if Katniss can be something that she can actually control.
Effie Trinket, welcome to 13.
Well, Effie is a true fish out of water in District 13. You know, there are no comforts of the capital there, no comforts from her life. She essentially escaped to District 13 with nothing but the clothes on her back and the one wig that she was wearing that night. Is it visiting hours again?
It was really fun, especially with Effie, to see her in this environment because she's really the biggest fish out of the water in this kind of strange land. And to see somebody with her wants and needs, you know, forced to wear certain things and to have to eat and drink certain things and to have all that's important to her sort of stripped away.
I think, in her own way, rebels against the stringency of District 13 by sort of showing her personal individuality. She, of course, needs to feel fabulous wherever she is, so she applies her styling techniques and knowledge to the wardrobe of District 13, has a little fun with it.
I miss my wigs. Luckily, I remembered that this was all the rage when I was coming up.
You're living in District 13, the place that nobody's seen, nobody's even known existed. So that's the production design challenge, and it's a great tribute to Phil Messina and Francis and their collaboration.
So when I first talked to Francis about doing this, we talked about how in this book the whole tone shifts so much. The world gets compacted in District 13. In places like the Collective, obviously it's where everybody comes to meet. We sort of took that idea and incorporated that into other places like the hospital, her living quarters. Everything was sort of based on these kind of cylindrical organizations, and it was all about community. We really put a lot of thought into how it would be structured, how they feed themselves. We constructed this whole underground hydroponics lab. What I hope comes across is sort of the level to which we've thought out how these people really would live.
To be living miles underground, and the challenge in shooting that and making that intense and exciting and, putting that pressure on the characters is challenging. You want to feel what it's like living in District 13 like you did when we were in Jen's shoes in District 12. So that's what most of the first one is about.